Hey, I'm Duke on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it. Hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with a pretty special Abzan Maverick list. This is Dan Neeley, or DNEELEY's list that he won the Legacy Challenge on the weekend with. This is a pretty cool take on Abzan Maverick with a few cards that are semi-new to the archetype, but have been seeing a fair bit of play in different builds. The two big ones are Esper Sentinel, which in this match, or at least in this list, is pretty similar to Mother of Rune's role, in that you're looking to hopefully trade and get up, depending on how your opponent wants to remove it. And against something like a combo deck, it actually has a really nice ability for you to just draw cards each turn, and hopefully move towards drawing into something like Thalia, Collector Oof, or Endurance. It's obviously also great with exalted creatures, as it allows you to attack with Esper Sentinel, make it a bigger creature, and then in your second main phase, go about casting spells, which hopefully your opponent tries to counter or interact with, which then your opponent obviously has to pay a bit more for. The upside of also having Esper Sentinel is more one-drops in the deck, which means you're most likely to have more creatures on the board for when Fiend Artisan comes into play, which is pretty much a Green Suns on a stick. When it first came out, I didn't realize that you could grab any creature. I thought it was only a CMC above the creature you sacrificed, but Fiend Artisan has been doing really well. You might know this card from Legacy Elves and lists championed by Hello Newton, who also streams at twitch.tv/HelloNewton. But it's been really nice. I think for a while, I've definitely felt Maverick has been missing a solid 2-drop, a card that you can go and grab after you've untapped with Matter Acceleration on turn 1, and use a Green Suns effectively without having to get something like Collector Oof that might just be dead in the matchup you're against. Fiend Artisan fills that role really nicely. Against any Bolt style decks, it's really nice in mid to late game as just a big threat, which is nice. And overall, I've been pretty happy with it. We also have obviously some one-offs like Palace Jailer, which is pretty neat, Plague Engineer, Grist, which is also a Green Suns target, but essentially Fiend Artisan allows you to find a little bit more of an array of creatures compared to Green Suns, as you're not restricted by the color of the creature, which is really nice. Also a lot of ways to accelerate, which is really sweet. So I believe we had 9 ways to accelerate on turn 1. The mana base otherwise is pretty much the same. We have double draw lands. I know that Dan was playing around with 22 lands for a long time, and my only thought here is that potentially he's upped it to 23 with another draw land, because he doesn't want to flood, but he also wants to have that mana, especially turn 1. So having 2 draw lands that produce green makes a lot of sense. You want to be able to obviously accelerate as much as possible on turn 1. The list otherwise is pretty standard. I really like how Dan's kind of gone for the sideboard. In a new metagame, I typically try to stay to 3 sets, not play sets, but 3 elves in the sideboard, so 5 different cards. Things like Mindbreak Trap, Deafening Silence, Force of Vigor. Cards are going to have a really strong impact in the matches where you kind of expect after a shake-up. So decks like Reanimator making Insurgents. A lot of decks that don't really care about what your opponent is doing too much, but has a quick, nice roll itself. But this deck has a really nice sideboard guide. You have 2 Force of Vigor and a Knight of Autumn for any sort of artifact or enchantment decks. You have 2 Path to Exile for creature decks alongside Grist. Grist just being really nice at being able to grind out matches. So something like a blue-white X control deck where Grist is obviously very nice, or maybe another mid-range style deck where you're probably likely to lose the Grist early on. Having a second copy in the deck is pretty backbreaking. For the other sort of mid-range decks, we have Opposition Agent, also combo decks, Plague Engineer. A second copy is just nice. I think you could get away with just the one, but I think having a second copy of Engineer just allows you to hopefully see it a little bit more against some of the tribal decks that are going to win the game in the sort of early to mid game. Decks like Elves is the main one, but obviously it's nice against some other things. Potentially Empty the Warrens, Goblins, if people are playing that. I know a lot of people have gone back to Death and Taxes, so having multiple plagues is really nice for that. So we'll see how that goes. Guy's Blessing is a bit of tech that's come up recently. So Guy's Blessing is 1 and a green sorcery. Target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from their graveyard into their library, draw a card, and then it has, when Guy's Blessing is put into your graveyard from your library, shuffle your graveyard into your library. So obviously against Painter, if they Grindstone you and Guy's Blessing still in your deck, it'll hit the graveyard and then you'll shuffle your library back into it. So it kind of gives you an extra turn, or gives you an out to the Grindstone combo win before they can find some sort of answer. Something like Soul Guide Lantern, I guess. Surgical, really nice. Deafening Silence. Obviously you want cheap interaction against combo decks these days. I feel like a lot of them are just really, really fast. So having Surgical, having Deafening Silence, Endurance. You're looking at sideboard cards against combo that are either going to interact on turn 0 or turn 1. Another card that a lot of the Maverick guys or Maverick players within the Discord have been talking about is Containment Priest, which you don't often see in sideboards, typically because Maverick has a few options from turn 2 or 3 onwards. It's really that turn 0 to 1 that you want to be able to have some control over to actually start deploying your threats like Thalia. But Priest is obviously quite strong against what Reanimate is doing right now in both reanimation spells and also Show and Tell. It's also good against the natural order decks. There's been a few BANT natural order decks popping up with the Traxxer. And then obviously if you can win the board in the early game against other Green Suns decks and then play a Containment Priest, shutting them up from being able to use it is really nice. It does affect you somewhat, but there are definitely situations where it can be pretty good. Yeah, Jack, that's a great point. Guy's Blessing can also just target your opponent at sorcery speed if you really need to, because it's definitely times, although usually your opponent does go off the same turn, but Guy's Blessing, just being able to target your opponent and put reanimated targets or dredge cards back into your opponent's deck is pretty cool. But yeah, I wanted to give a massive shout out to Dan, because Dan has been championing, I'm going to say green-white X decks for years now. You can check him out on MTG Goldfish. He has a ton of finishes. I believe this is his best finish with Maverick. He has got a few top 8s, but hasn't been able to close them out, his words. But yeah, a huge shout out to Dan. Obviously part of the Sylvan Syndicate. Probably one of the big names within the Maverick community. I think when you think of people within Maverick, you think of probably, I would say 3 names. You think of Dan Neeley, you think of Mark Strassman, and Achilles. They're probably the big 3. And it's great to see, obviously, Dan take it down. Let's fight. Let's jam. Let's get into it. I've definitely played around with Solitude. I would say Solitude is in the same spot as Palace Jailer. Solitude's really nice, especially as early interaction if you need it. Gameplay. I do also need to redo my game config, I believe, because I was playing around with it last night. But I assume it'll just be something like this. Hey Roberto, too much combo hate. Look, coming from Jax, I'll admit that, but I think it's definitely warranted. Typically, Mav doesn't have a whole lot going into combo in game 1, but I think games 2 and 3, there's a lot of matches that do switch, or at least come closer to the 55-45, thanks to early interaction. And then cards like Thalia. I think Thalia has definitely had some ups and downs in her effectiveness in the format, but she still is a bear that can just win games. She can buy a lot of time. I had a really nice 4 against a combo deck the other day, which was just Fetchland, Wasteland, Esper Sentinel, Thalia. It was turn 1 Fetch Svanner, Esper Sentinel, turn 2 Thalia, turn 3 Wasteland them. And then we just started drawing cards back, thanks to Esper Sentinel. Alright, so full screen and move this across. Nice. And here we have like a pretty great hand. We have interaction on turn 1. We have a great play in Esper Sentinel. We can start playing out our land drops, play the Fiend Artisan. Potentially even go for something like a Noble Hierarch if we want to build out our mana. Really happy to keep this. Okay. Just a basic forest into Noble is very interesting. So this could be many things. It could be another Maverick deck. It could be something like the Mirror. I have seen a little bit of Infect. It could be some sort of BANT deck as well. And now it's pretty interesting as what I want to do. I kind of feel like ramping here, just because I'm not too sure what they're on yet. I don't want to go after their mana, because I don't really have a way to interact with the forest, so taking them just off the Noble doesn't seem great. And honestly, Dry down the line can be sacked to Fiend Artisan, which is nice. For this sort of matchup, I don't expect Esper Sentinel to be great. I kind of like just going for Savannah, Green Suns, Dryad Arbor. Elo Baron, you're on it. This also allows us to double spell next turn. Potentially even triple spell if we draw Wasteland. But as the next play I assume is going to be a creature, I don't think Esper Sentinel would be doing too much here. Bayou, okay. Grist, okay. Grist is very good for my opponent. I am going to say this is going to be Maverick. Oh, Reclaimer, okay. Maybe a kind of hybrid build of Depths. Okay. So now we have some options. I can play Esper Sentinel and Noble Hierarch and attack the Grist, but if they block with the Insect, not the greatest. It could definitely be Orcs as well, correct. I don't want to Swords the Insect and get in for 2. I really like building up my mana, potentially trying to get to Questing Beast as soon as possible. Double checking the list. Getting to Plague Engineer for Insect would be great, so I think the play this turn is going to be playing... Okay, let's start off with Esper Sentinel, and then play Noble Hierarch. There's also another world where we just play Hierarch and Fiend Artisan and then go for Plague Engineer the following turn. Because maybe I just don't have the time to set that up. But at least this turn means that I have I can double spell next turn. 2, 4, 5. Our land off the top also draws me into Questing Beast. Okay. Snuff Out. Okay, I'm going to assume this is more on the Orcs / Elves line. Because I did see a screenshot today from Newton playing Noble Hierarchs. I am a little bit scared of Natural Order. But there's not too much we can do there. Oh, Green Suns for 3. Will they pay? Yes. Okay. Leovold, maybe? I'm trying to think. Will it be smaller than what Questing Beast can be blocked with? Night of Autumn takes out Esper Sentinel. Fiend Artisan, okay. Not big enough though, unless they have Snuff Out. Snuff Out would allow them to block with the Fiend Artisan potentially. Attack for 2. Alright. Comes down to this draw. Is it a land? Oh. Alright. I think we're going for it. Can I see some Questing Beasts in chat for those of you who have access? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Attack them. Nice. You'd love to see it. But again, like 4, 5, 6, 7 mana, so close to just like hoofing me out potentially. Or I guess they could maybe Fiend Artisan for Traxxer. 4, 5, 6, 7. I believe they need another land to be able to do that. There's definitely a world where we could have like gone after the Fiend with swords to slow that down, but oh, here we go. This might just be hoof. But yeah, you can see that Grist is just so strong in these sort of matchups. Okay. So we're taking 19 and we can block 5. So we can go to 1. So we're not dead yet. So how do we want to do this? We want to put Questing Beast in front of the Crater Hoof, because then we just kill it. We don't really care about this. And obviously if we don't block with Esper Sentinel here, we take 5 trample, 5 and 5, which is exactly 15. So I believe we go to 1 here. Unless they have... No, I was going to say, unless they have Snuff Out. Alright, so it does turn off the Nurturing Peatland. And the Fetch. But we can play Fiend. It's a 3/3. And then I think we just... I think here we swords the Fiend right now while it's tapped and can't be used. I don't think it's worth like swordsing myself to try to gain some life. I think this is the way. And then I will... Do I play this? Is it better just to have this as unknown information? I think it is. Yeah. We do have... Look, we have a few ways to get out of this, but it's going to be tight. This might be like Dried Arbor, and then sack that for something else. Yeah, so this is obviously natural order. Oh, no way. I guess here we have to get a Scrubland and then hope we draw into swords off the Nurturing Peatland? Is that the line? Oh, and a Grist. Okay, well, please don't draw into swords. That would kind of suck. Okay. They tried to dry it up with the Grist, get rid of the Fiend, attack for lethal. Okay, looking at this sort of deck, there's some easy ones. Grist is obviously fantastic, as you just saw there, in both ways. Plague Engineer is fantastic. Opposition Agent to stop things like Natural Order and Grist. And the Part 2 Exiles, I'm pretty keen on. Pretty happy to take out the Collector Oof, the Outland Liberator. Probably most of the Thalias. I don't mind one, as we can usually tax them a little bit better than otherwise, but pretty happy with this. Nothing else really does anything. Alright. Okay. We have some interaction in Wasteland. We have turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Fiend Artisan, fetch up Dryad Arbor, and then maybe turn 3 Plague Engineer. Okay, I don't mind this. I think that these two are spell lands. Hitting Dryad Arbors are pretty huge. Hitting a Cradle if I can is pretty huge. Hitting a Bojuka Bog to turn off a Snuff Out. Seeing that this Wasteland is a Dryad Arbor, I don't mind this. But I could definitely see a mulligan to actually having some sort of actual piece of removal in the opener. But next turn, if we can double spell in Fiend Artisan and Wasteland, I'd be very happy. Fiend Artisan. Just a forest. Ignobled. Okay, this opens up the line of us going for Dryad Arbor. Ooh, that's also pretty good. I think I'm actually pretty happy here to just play the opposition agent, because what I don't want to have happen is my opponent plays a land and passes, and then we're stuck. Like, do they have opposition agent? So I actually think right here I'm happy to play the Bayou, or get the Bayou, sorry, and just play this agent right now. It can't be hit by Snuff Out, which is pretty huge. Okay. This isn't too bad, as we can Wasteland the Cradle and then play Fiend Artisan. And I think right now that's a lot better. It just takes the natural order. I guess we didn't care about natural order, but I think this is fine. This is going to be an Elves style deck. But with opposition agent in play hitting fetch lands, I think going after their mana is fine here. I believe this is, yeah, I would say more close to Newton Elves and what he's been playing around with. But we currently have 2 creatures in play that can't be hit by Snuff Out if my opponent does have a swamp of some kind. But I think next turn will be play Wasteland, play Knight. Reclaim is okay. Reclaim is makes me want to Wasteland a little bit quicker than 2 turns down the line, but seeing that we have the Fiend Artisan there, actually, yeah, okay, so these 2 creatures are hit by opposition agent, so in this position I'm pretty happy just to hold back. I think they should attack the Plague here, yeah. Oh! Surely. Yeah. Especially when Exalted comes into it as well. Okay. Here... I could attack with the Fiend and see how they block, but I'm pretty happy just to play Knight and pass. Oh no. Come on, opponent. I think here... Oh, they have Bojuka Bog, Opposition Agent, Reanimate, and here's their deck list. So they have 4 Snuff Outs, which funnily enough can't hit much. They play under... Undermountain Adventurer as well, which is pretty cool. I think... I think because you have Wastelands, I'm happy to actually hit the black mana. Pretty happy to take this. Oh, that's good. I think the list only does have one Cradle, and I think it relies on Reclaimer to get them. We know about Opposition Agent in hand, I believe. Path. Oh, that's pretty nice with Opposition Agent. Okay. Hit this. Change phase. They put an agent. That's fine. Path their agent, which allows us to search for a basic. Oh, it's actually a May, I believe. And then now we do have access to Cradle. So I think we potentially fetch for Dryad Arbor. Nightmare. Oh, I don't mind going after Shaman, or maybe Elf, because of Goblin Shaman, Elf Warrior, Phyrexian Carrier, Nightmare. Okay. Let's have a good think. Play the Bayou. We have access to 2 5 mana, which is Fiend for 4. But I don't really want to lose any of these creatures, so I think we do just play Windswept and fetch up Dryad Arbor. Dryad Arbor. And then Opposition Agent is you may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, so I don't mind getting rid of our Bayou here because we have one right here. And this actually works out perfectly because we get to get 4 mana, which is 1 for Fiend and then 3 for... I guess we have 1 floating anyway, so we might as well just go for all of it. Sack Dryad. Go for Plague. And here I'm actually happy just to name Shaman. Really go after their mana. And then next time we can even get rid of the Plague and go for something like a Palace Jailer potentially. They bog us, so Knight becomes a 1/1. They still have Reanimate in hand, so I do want to Wasteland that Bajuka Bog to take them off the black mana. I'm interested to see how they attack. No attacks. It's pretty great for us. Okay. This is actually free, which is nice because of Cradle. So we get to go play Wasteland, Wasteland Bog, play Wasteland, Wasteland Bog. Play Ignobled. Five. And then it's either going to be Adventurer here for... I think Palace Jailer is fine, probably taking out the Plague Engineer. And then we just have some pretty okay blocks against everything. the Plague Engineer is just a little bit, yeah. It's pretty tough for my opponent there, but I think Palace Jailer is fine because we have a 2/2, a Knight that can get bigger, and then obviously Plague Engineer with Death Touch, so... now that we see our opponent... Hey Ben, welcome. Hope you're well. I think I'm happy with just passing this back. Yeah. Yeah, Jailer looking really strong there. I think it's also worth saying that any 4-drop there looks really good. Like, Questing Beast, they can only block there, I believe, with the Elvish Reclaimer as a 3/4. Undermounted Adventurer as well. I mean, just as a 3/4 creature with Vigilance, and having so many creatures there as well, just getting that initiative. But yeah, I think that was a really good observation, or I think to observe there is that in game 2 we really went after their mana and just kept going after their mana. In game 1 we did have that play with the Swords of Plowshares on their turn 1 mana accelerant, but didn't have anything to back up that plan with. So there's kind of two situations there where in game 1 we had some way to interrupt their mana, but not a whole lot. And then in game 2 we did, and we obviously chose to go that route. Pretty great line. If they go land pass, we have mana acceleration. We have Esper Sentinel, of course, which is pretty sweet. We have removal in both Wasteland and Swords. Pretty happy to keep this. Okay. Nice. All right. Double Swords. Okay. I think here I'm more happy to Wasteland the Bayou than go after the Noble, just because if we draw into Plague Engineer, still a fine name. This also takes them off the ability to snuff out our creatures, potentially. I could take a turn off, but I feel like in a situation like this, it looks like they might be a little bit tight on mana. Or if they have... Oh, they played this for turns. They don't have Cradle, which is nice. Okay. Here, I'm happy to go after the Dryad Arbor, just because they can sack it to the Reclaimer if they find another land. This is probably a situation where Solitude would be cool. Like, if we drew into Palace Jailer, we would of course then know, but... Fiend is going to be fine. I still think next turn I'm just going to go Mana Dork and Swords the Noble Hierarch. Really keep them off as much mana as possible because of these two creatures needing mana. I'll play the Ignoble Hierarch just in case we draw into Plague or Grist. This looks like a Green Suns for Dryad Arbor. Okay. I would obviously love to draw either Plague or Opposition Agent here, which is why we led on the Ignoble Hierarch. We don't, but that should be okay. Green Suns here, we could go for Grist and go after the Dryad Arbor, which is aggressive, but... Esper, I would say, is still in the deck because we just don't have better cards to bring in. That's the main reasoning there. If I do want to keep going after their mana and keep them off something like Cradle from the Reclaimer, I could see... Like, we could just go Sentinel, Hierarch, and Fiend Artisan this turn. And just, you know, if they have one turn to find Natural Order, then they have one turn to find Natural Order. Because if we Grist, get rid of Ignoble Hierarch for the Dryad Arbor, they attack the Grist and they still have things going. So I think here... I'm actually happy just to pretty much play out my hand. Hey, Life Lover. Hope you're well. Sentinel. Fiend. This also means if they go for Grist next turn, we do have Green Suns for Questing Beast most likely. They have 4 cards, and there's 2 that we don't want to see. I kind of hope this is just like a Green Suns for 1. It feels like it is with how they're going about this. Okay. We do get to draw off this as well, so Sentinel replacing itself, which is nice. Going for black mana. I think the play here is just going to be Fiend Artisan for Opposition Agent, because it goes after their mana, and it turns off both the Fiend Artisan and the Elvish Reclaimer. Forest Dryad, Goblin Shaman. Insurance. Okay. So we have access to 5 mana. So we could also Green Suns for Dryad Arbor this turn, and then have 4 mana left over, and just get rid of the Dryad Arbor. I don't mind that. Yeah, great play. We do get an attack first, which is nice, with Fiend Art, with Esper Sentinel for 3. And then the nice thing is, if we think about sort of worst case, it's probably just, if we go for Opposition Agent, they have Grist, and trade away one of their mana dorks or one of their smaller creatures for the Opposition Agent. We can then untap and Green Suns for Questing Beast, which will take out the Grist and also keep pressuring them as well. I also need a haircut, yes. Dryad Arbor, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. Sack Dryad. Go and get Opposition Agent. I could get Plague Engineer and take out the Ignobled Hierarch, but if they have like just Cradle Natural Order, we obviously don't do too well there. Another Fiend is going to be fine. They also, I guess they do have Exalted here, so they do have an attack. But next turn with Green Suns for Questing Beast, we're going to be in a pretty great position, to say the least. Okay. 5 mana. I think here it's just going to be Questing Beast, because it's not just great on attack, but also on defense. Artisan for Plague Naming Nightmare is also quite good. I was going to say, if they fetch here and find a Bayou for something like Snuff Out, it's obviously very tough, but they actually can't Snuff Out, which is nice. Oh, they're going for Reanimate. We do have the Endurance if we want to get rid of it. They're trying to get the Dryad Arbor back. I think that what we have on board is going to win us the game, so I don't mind just throwing away the Endurance here with the Fiend Artisan. It also makes our Fiend Artisan bigger. Oh no, it doesn't, because we would hit our own graveyard. Actually, yeah, it would be a 2/2 still, because Endurance. I think here I don't mind this. What are they trying to do? That's the big question. They have 2 cards left. I don't mind giving them this. Cradle for Hardcast Hoof. Yeah, it could definitely be so. So I think we will definitely go for Plague Engine this turn. So I think here we want to take out probably the Dried Arbors instead of the Fiend Artisans, just because they also tap for mana. So with Cradle, these are potentially 4 creatures. So we have a 2-turn clock with Questing Beast, which is really nice. And then, yeah, second main we get to go for Plague Engineer off the Fiend Artisan. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get Plague. Dryad. Nice. Very cool. Deck was sweet. I mean, Fiend there was just an overperforming creature, getting us access to a variety of things. Mainly Plague Engineer and Opposition Agent, but yeah, I think Fiend there really showed its power. Alright. On the play, which is nice. Tough one. We don't have a green source, so I actually have to mulligan this, but it would have been sweet. If this was a fetch land, easy keep. Okay. I don't mind this. We have Noble. I think here I'm going to bottom the Questing Beast. As it is a Green Sun's target, we can easily find it if needed. And Palace Jailer might just be the card I need to bring me back into the game from a mulligan. So I'm going to keep this and bottom the Questing Beast. I definitely don't want to keep 2 4-drops. I also don't mind just holding the Windswept Heath and playing the Forest. The downside is if we draw into Esper Sentinel, if we go Forest Noble Hierarch and they remove the Hierarch, and then we draw Esper Sentinel, we can't double spell in Wasteland and Esper. So I actually think we might just go for Savannah here, play the Noble. And then if we draw a black card, we draw a black card, but we have a few things to do here. Wasteland into Fiend would also be fantastic, being able to kind of double spell again. Oh, once, okay. Undermounted Adventurer. Oh, this could be like the kind of turbo. Yeah, this is gonna be like the turbo kind of take on initiative. Okay, potentially Lotus Petal? No. Okay, well here I'm definitely happy to wasteland this Cavern of Souls. And then go for Plague. I'm gonna float a mana. Nothing. I think next time we might even go for Collector Oof and getting rid of the Noble, but we'll see what happens. Okay. Swords is pretty nice. Get to hold up swords here. Which means if they do play a 4-drop, we do get to steal the initiative. Hey Angel, welcome. Okay. Not too bad. I'll play this first, just in case they have some sort of shenanigans. But it looks like we're going to be able to get the initiative here. And then having Palace Jailer for something like Seasoned Dungeoneer is really nice. Solitude obviously still a thing, but don't mind that on a hierarch at this point in the game. Cool to see like initiative stick around to some extent. I know that red white and I believe green white and also Naya are doing quite well with, you know, Simian Spirit Guides, Lotus Petal, Chrome Mox, Mox Diamond. You do have a lot of ways to actually you know, get ahead on mana in the early game. I really hope my opponent isn't deciding what card to pitch to Solitude and just is away from the keyboard. I think with this sort of weight, they're just AFK for a second. Get that basic. Which is really nice, because even if we lose the Noble Hierarch for some reason, we have the 4 mana for Palace Jailer. Oh, they're going this side. Okay. Play this because they know about it. Actually, yeah, I should do this because I don't want to attack, of course. Take this. Attack. And then draw. There's a world where I could just attack with a Noble Hierarch. That way, if they want to actually remove something, they don't get rid of the Esper Sentinel. Which could just be awkward, although it's pretty, like, it's mid-game at the moment. The pay 1 to stop me from drawing a card can definitely add up. But obviously losing both a white card and a Solitude at this point is pretty huge. I could also assume that if my opponent is playing the initiative list, which is pretty fast, they could just be double queuing. The reason I kept up Noble was just in case we draw into Swords to Plowshares, which we could hold up. Forge, I'm definitely putting on the Esper Sentinel, as it just taxes more things like Touch the Spirit Realm. Maybe even Chalice. Boarding's going to be interesting here as well. I do like the Part 2 Exiles. The Opposition Agent, maybe. The Plague Engineer, maybe. Obviously doesn't really hit much, but just having like a Death Touch 2/2 isn't the worst. Grist is great. Force of Vigor's not too bad, going after things like this. Knight of Autumn, I think, is great. Leaves a body and also disrupts. Hey man, Gork, welcome. Look, hopefully we are. Thalia is an easy cut. That's 4 cards. Potentially even Esper Sentinel. The only reason that I like Esper Sentinel is that it's a cheap creature to get into play, to then hopefully steal the initiative with once you get rid of their creatures. But yeah, I think we want 2 Path, Grist, Knight. That's 4, so that's an easy switch for Thalia. Probably 1 Force of Vigor, especially for touch. And then maybe Agent or Plague. I think forging onto Esper Sentinel is fine. I could also go with Palace Jailer and just make it a 5/5 when attacking with Noble Hierarch. Being a 4/4 isn't too bad either, because Seasoned Dungeoneer is a 3/4 and the other one is just a 3/4/2, so I think we're fine. It wasn't too bad if we draw into something to sink some mana into it. Yeah, I think Mum is a pretty nice a nice fit there. Especially as a one drop creature. If you're playing a Fiend Artisan build, it's great to have them. Okay, only goes to 10. They could have Solitude up here. Swords is nice. Start with attacking with Esper Sentinel. Oh, nothing. Okay. I thought it might be a Solitude. They were off double planes for a while, so don't need to play the Cradle, can just play the Savannah. Hey Sahar, very cool to see you. Endurance. Okay. Deck's been really nice. Deck's been amazing. We played against Newton Elves in game 1, and we went down to a hoof pretty quickly, but in games 2 and 3, Fiend Artisan for both Opposition Agent or Plague Engineer played a massive role in staying in that game. I think just here I probably want to Swords the Endurance, but if they have another touch, maybe not. Touch is probably the card that I kind of want to play around, but at least if I do it in this turn, it should be okay. Beast. Okay. Well, that's a pretty good card, 2 swords. And then I'm probably just blocking the Endurance with Noble Hierarch. How could you do this to me? How could you play Beast against me? What is this? Come on now. Here we go. Ooh, that's pretty huge. Oh, is that the win? That is the win. No, it's so close. Because obviously we can get Palace Jail. We can get Ooh, okay. What if the play is actually to Green Sun Zenith for our own initiative creature to then hit Questing Beast off the top 10 to then swing in for the win? I don't mind trying that out. That sounds pretty fun. I think it's just, yeah, knock the top and see how it goes. Actually, do I want to play Fiend Artisan and then play Cradle? I think so. Main phase 1. Alright, here we go. Fiend Artisan. Cradle for 3, 4, 5. We can now Green Sun Zenith for our own Undermountain Adventurer. We can look at the top. But no! We want to see! Oh, we want to see! Wait, what if we go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, close, close. Okay, so pretty similar boarding to what we talked about before. Thalia, obviously not that great. The easy picks here are the 2 Path to Exile. The Knight of Autumn, having a body that sticks around while also interacting with things like touch is really good. Grist is fantastic. The other cards, Esper Sentinel I think is still fine, just because it's a cheap creature that can steal the initiative. Endurances are fine, just because they do have flash. I could see the Collector Oof coming out. Like, is Collector Oof better than Force? That's the big question. Yeah, Path's really cool on this list. We actually got to Path an opponent before with Opposition Agent out, which is pretty cool. I am a little bit scared of Chalice for 1. Chalice for 1's actually pretty good. I don't mind bringing in the 2 forces for these 2 creatures. I think something like that is fine. Maybe not both. Maybe having the Outland Liberator is fine. Yeah. I think the natural order decks are probably a little bit different to Maverick. Although you can obviously set up quite well. With like the kind of toolbox engine within a natural order deck. I would say it's a bit of a different deck, because you have to obviously have like the 4 natural orders, you have to have the targets, you have to have probably a lot more lower to the ground creatures, so you can try to turbo off a little bit quicker. But it is really cool. I'm a big fan of those sort of decks, especially the BANT ones running around. This deck does fold a little bit to Chalice, but we have, you know, turn 1 creature that can attack, untap, swords that creature, attack in. I'll give this a whirl. We do have 2 answers to Chalice as well, but we haven't seen Chalice, but there aren't many 1-mana cards I think my opponent could have. I'm not sure if they would switch out Chalice for swords, if they're playing sort of like the Chalices in the main deck, the Swords of Plowshares in the sideboard. You don't think they're playing it? That could be a fact as well. I could definitely be playing around something that we just expect to have in the deck, but just aren't there, so... At least our opponent had a pretty slow start. For us, it's most likely just going to be Windswept for Savannah into Esper Sentinel, and then hopefully untap Swords of Creature and get rid of it. But yeah, I like the list that you sent me, Sahar, that Danny Batterman has been playing around with. That looks really cool. I believe they top 4 their local monthly with it, which is probably similar to what we're playing, and probably where I saw the Chalices, but yeah, here we have Undercity Adventurer. This player is playing around with Questing Beast, so maybe it has a small Green Suns package instead of the Chalices, because even something, it's a little bit like Green-White Eldrazi, which was played in Modern for a little while, which had plays like turn 1 Noble Hierarch, untap, Eldrazi Temple, Thought-Knot Seer, and it's very similar with how the Undermountain Adventurer and Seasoned Dungeoneer are played in this style deck. Also a little bit better in terms of keeping cards in hand, as opposed to, like, you know, turn 1 Chrome Mox for acceleration. But yeah, this looks really cool. And if this is the sort of list that you'd like to play on stream, I'd be very open to that. Because, obviously, coming up, we have the Legacy Weekend when I find it. Haha. Nice. So while my opponent plays their turn 1, yeah, this is on the weekend of April 1st and 2nd. We'll have a bunch of co-hosts coming on the stream, which is really cool. Callum Smith, you might know from Everyday Eternal. Tom Hepp, also known as Negator77. Achilles 27. Matt Vuk of Ozymandias. Loma Boy. Sahar. And a special guest, who is Brian Koval. Which is really cool. So that'll happen on the weekend of April 1st and 2nd. And here we actually have the stream schedule, which is pretty cool, which will be going live tonight. But it'll be 1 stream Friday night, 3 streams Saturday, 3 streams Sunday, with actual decks to be confirmed. But really looking forward to that. Force of Vigor here would be fantastic. Obviously we don't find it, but they have open 4 mana, which is a little bit scary. 4 mana but no play is interesting. I actually, maybe I should have Wastelanded there. Maybe Wasteland was the play. Why else would you play out 4 mana and pass? Two, 3, 4, 5 mana? Jailer. Okay. Okay. So here's an option. I have either... I think I just want to play Esper Sentinel and pass with Verdant Catacombs open, in case I want to have 2 creatures available. I could play Wasteland and take them off 2 mana, which is pretty huge. Really tough. I kind of like... Yeah. Just because we have the swords. We're definitely playing Esper Sentinel. And then it's either Wasteland or play Verdant Catacombs and hold up Dryad Arbor. The question, like the big thing is here is that although I could Wasteland, that also puts us back pretty far. Like next turn I could be playing Grist if I go and get Dryad Arbor and then draw into a black source. Could also, if they don't play a creature, Swords off a Scrubland and then untap and play Grist. There's actually a great, like, what's the play? I'm gonna save this for later. I think here I just want to have more creatures on the field, or have access to more creatures on the field. And also having Verdant up in case they want to touch Palace Jailer and then take care of this Esper Sentinel. I don't mind this. But I could definitely see both ways. The tough thing is that if we Wasteland there, we don't have like land into Night of Autumn on the Chrome Mox. Which would be really nice to go like Mana Denial into Mana Denial. But I think, honestly, I should have looked more at the board state on turn 1 and probably just fired off Wasteland on the Ancient Tomb. Solitude isn't too bad here. They could have Questing Beast off Green Suns, which isn't too bad either. Okay, okay. So it's a 7 mana walker that goes straight up. We do get to deal with this with Grist, thankfully. Okay. Oh, they could also destroy Esper Sentinel. I really hope we don't draw Dryad Arbor here, because that's our way to get back into this. They play this, get rid of Esper Sentinel, attack. Okay, path's not too bad. Oh, okay, I get it. I get it. No attacks. Okay. That makes me want to probably fetch for Scrubland here. And Swords the Palace Jailer. Path this. Attack them and then probably play the Outland Liberator. We also get the crown here and a... Oh, we don't... I thought they had the initiative, but they don't. They have the crown. Which is pretty good for us as well. But this is going to be tough. We can Grist and get rid of it, which is nice. That is one thing I forget sometimes, is that Grist can actually deal with Planeswalkers. Attack them. We get the crown. Play a land. Oh, we get back the Esper Sentinel as well. That's pretty cool. A land is perfect. Next turn, the Grist can tick down, probably getting rid of an Esper Sentinel to deal with the Nissa. Two, three, four, five, six, 7 mana. Okay. Hmm. Eastside of Sand, welcome. I think here it's going to be getting Grist into play and probably just sticking up. There's not too many great lines, but I think Grist tick up is a start. The question is, do I want to wasteland this turn or hold up white in case we draw into Swords to Plowshares or Path? That's a tricky one. I think that I've just got so much mana at the moment that the only card we kind of can turn off is potentially another Emiria's Call. But I think I'd rather just play the board as is. Interesting that they didn't like do some things first and then attack and then do the second main. This makes me think they have something to do before combat. Otherwise, you could see how we block and then see if we have to tax or not. Okay, just another big creature. And they have one card left. If they attack with both here, I don't mind just double blocking the Solitude, to be fair. I think getting it off the board is fine. It also makes the Fiend Artisan bigger as well. Also, the Solitude is just great with any sort of flicker effects they might have, so getting it off the board feels quite good. Oh. Oh, so close to getting, like, Exalted Attack. We get to play a land. Play Noble. So close. I think here we're going to play Noble, trade the Noble away for the Phyrexian Horror that's a 6/6. I don't want to lose the Questing Beast here. I think yeah. Oh, I guess we can actually just sack the Noble to deal with the Nissa. Huh. I think that's the play, because if they have a Solitude, then we just lose the Beast as well. Yeah. Maybe I could have like attacked first and then see like how they block. Like we do lose the Grist and the Crown now, which is a little bit tough. I probably should have thought about that a little bit more. This seems like an Endurance. Okay, that's quite good as well. Yeah. I think that's actually the incorrect play for me. Just because of how things turn out with the Crown as well. Like they get to attack us for 5, they get rid of the Grist, they also get the Crown. Yeah. Let's Dryad Arbor. I think at this stage as well, we're just putting counters on this. Fiend should be a 6/6, I believe? 7/7, okay. Well, that's pretty nice. But obviously, we would also love to see... Okay. They gain the initiative. We can also potentially Endurance ourselves to put the Questing Beast back and then go and grab it. Touch is quite good. I do want to fetch out Dryad Arbor here. See what we can pull off. I don't mind making them trade. We do get back the Fiend Artisan here. Beast is very good. They have 1 card left. And they have 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we have to double block. And we can try. 1 more creature in the bin. Oh, so close. We don't have another Dryad Arbor. We can't even like fetch up Dryad Arbor, Wasteland it. But I think we just have to attack. Potentially draw into like Sword Splash as our own creature? Should have played a land. Imagine that. Green Sun's for Endurance. Endurance ourselves, put Dread. Oh no, because that just gets rid of everything anyway. Tough. Close. I mean, Fiend Artisan there was pretty huge. Running it back. Running it back. I think we're pretty happy just running back the same list, honestly. That was a sweet game. Like, that was really cool. That's the type of Magic that I love playing, so can't be too unhappy about that. What do we have? We have turn 1 Acceleration, and then potentially Esper Sentinel and Green Suns if we don't hit a second land drop. I'm pretty happy with that. Also Force of Vigor for something like a Chalice or a Chrome Mox potentially. Let's go and get Savannah. If Chrome Mox is the last spell they cast before a fatty, I'm pretty happy to hit it before they get to tap it for mana. Plains. If Plains is their land for turn, I'd be very happy. I don't want to see a soul land. Okay. Okay. Chalice? Sure. I'm pretty happy to hit this with Force just because we have Green Suns and Esper Sentinel. But we also have potentially just Green Suns for like another creature, like Noble Hierarch. So I don't mind Chalice for 0. We also land. I think we can get more value off the Force as well. Land. Oh, not what I want to see, but that's fine. Hey WXT, thanks for the follow. Hope you're well. Like if they touch one of my creatures, we can just hit that, which is nice. Ancient Tomb, sure. Nothing. Okay. Well, again, I don't really care about Chalice just yet, because we have Knight next turn as a creature. So I'm really waiting for a touch. Endurance. I think Knight here is better than Endurance, just because of Wasteland. But we could hold up Endurance. I think Knight's, yeah, a little bit better. So here we go. So I think they obviously have Solitude, and here we get to go Force, pitch on Chalice and Chrome Mox before they get to tap it for mana. And here I'm probably more happy pitching the Endurance than the Knight. But this is exactly the situation where I wanted to have it. So although they get to keep a card, they don't get to tap it for extra mana. And there's the Solitude, so now they actually have to go after the Knight, which is pretty nice for us. Like, they have to get rid of it now. They don't get a body either. We get to untap, most likely play a Knight, maybe draw Wasteland and Knight. Like, so many things. We also get to go for Esper Sentinel here, and then also Knight. So, really nice turn of events. Especially to have Palace Jailer as our backup. Okay. Alright, I think here what I want to do is Float a white. Do I want to attack first? Or do I want to go after their mana? Because it's Wasteland on Ancient Tomb and then see what happens. At 4 mana, there's not too much my opponent could have. Potentially try to like flicker something out and then it doesn't come back with Priest. I think I'm happy to attack first with Esper Sentinel with Exalted. Nothing. Okay. At least this allows me to hold back 2 creatures by tapping like this. Wow. Okay. I think I actually should have tapped the Ignoble Hierarch to hold up Swords to Plowshares off the top. That's a small one. But we're looking pretty good here. Nice. Yeah, that's just like... I think there was a little bit of risk to that hand, just having the 1 land, but it shows you that sometimes, if you really have a bit of a plan, even into a Chalice, and just be patient, you can definitely come away with just being, like, trading with resources a little bit better. That's all I want to do in this matchup, so pretty happy. Really nice as well, just to, like, get some grind out. Like, we get full value leagues here with the 2-1s. Perfect. And hey, thanks to you guys for coming in and watching. If you guys enjoy this content, you can find me on YouTube and Twitter and Discord. And of course, at greensunzenith.com. But yeah, really stoked to have the stream schedule out for Legacy Weekend, which is going to be pretty much just a massive weekend of co-host streams. Starting on Friday with Brian Koval. Saturday we have Cal Smith, Matt Vuk, and Sahar. And then on Sunday, Tom Hepp, Connor False, and Achilles27 for some good old Maverick goodness, which should be really cool. So if you enjoy Legacy streams, definitely come check this out. It'll be pretty awesome. And of course, if you can't make the streams, that's fine. They will all be on YouTube in the coming days. So really looking forward to that. It's going to be pretty brutal, but there's some good times in here for me to relax, like between 12 and 8, and then between, 3 and 11, we'll have some fun with that. Hey Thorn, thank you very much. Nice. But yeah, deck's been awesome. Deck's been like grinding very well. Palace Jailer in that matchup was pretty fantastic at just trying to take control of the board, which can be a little bit risky against the deck with things like Containment Priest and Endurance with Flash, and then of course Questing Beast with Haste. Alright, Don. This is the 1-lander, but it does have double acceleration. I'm pretty happy to keep this. It's a bit of a 6 with the Collect Oof, which could be situational, but pretty happy to go about this. Alright, opponent keeps 7. Let's go and get a Savannah. And get that Noble Hierarch down. What's the deck's planar to Delver? Well, you could be witnessing it here, most likely. Okay. Okay, obviously a matchup where I don't want to have mana issues. Yeah, exactly this. This is exactly how you lose to Delver, unfortunately. But we'll see how it pans out. Swords to Plowshares obviously are quite good. Big Knights obviously fantastic. But yeah, this hand just didn't really line up well to the Bolt Days Wasteland plan. Okay. That is a Swords to Plowshares, which is nice. A landed to Thalia here I'd much enjoy. That I don't. Brainstorm's going to be good. Here the Fiend Artisans are 3/3s. The Oof doesn't really have a role in this matchup. Vanilla 2/2. It's a little nice that it can sometimes block or keep a creature from attacking because every damage really matters in this matchup. But if I knew this was Delver, there's no way I keep a 1-lander. I think it's just it's too important to build out your mana in a matchup like this. Sure. Oh, okay. Okay. And they also kept a 1-lander. Interesting. Do they have like an instant brainstorm or something? What are they doing? Okay. If they lock themselves here, I'm obviously very happy. Because especially looking at this, like maybe that Scalding Tarn... okay, so their Brainstorm locked. And I think a really important note here is that they did have a Scalding Tarn, which they used straight away for Bolt. And that was because we pressured them with early mana acceleration, of course, which they can really take advantage of with Bolt Days into Wasteland. But it did take away a shuffle effect, so that's pretty great for us. I obviously don't want to shuffle fetch here. I want to try to draw as many lands as possible, so here we'll see what we get into. Oh, it's Rug as well. Okay, well then, now this is actually a really interesting point because 7 cards in hand, I would assume they do have another Daze or Force. But I think here, oh, actually, okay, so they're Wasteland locked and they didn't play a land, so they obviously either have maybe a Ponder, but no lands on top. So I think here I'm happy to Wasteland, even though it puts us back. We know that they have 2 cards on top and neither are lands. I don't want this Thalia to get dazed. That's the big reasoning there. There's the daze. Okay, well, that's pretty good for us. And yeah, classic. Okay, so now they draw their second card from the Brainstorm. Nice. And now they pretty much have to force this. I could also go with like a Fiend Artisan. Because I think Thalia here is going to be really strong. And surely they have a Force. So the question is, do I have the luxury of baiting? I think I do. I think Artisan here is fine, which I can make as well. Okay. Nice. And they started it as well! We'll take out their name, but that's hilarious. Like, I get it, but I also find that really funny. Alright, boarding for Delver. Boarding for Delver, typically I'm going to be going down on some of the more higher cost cards in the deck. Sometimes if they have True Name, I don't mind Questing Beast. We obviously don't need the Collector Oof or the Outland Liberator. They're pretty easy cuts. The 2 Path to Exiles are obviously fantastic if they hit Tarmogoyf, Delver, DRC, Murktide. What else? The Endurances are fantastic. Obviously, again, hitting Murktide potentially. blocking all their creatures. The Plague, I think, is a little bit of a trap, especially on the draw. I don't typically like the Plague. The Ramanap also is tough. It's probably some of these 4-drops. I don't mind Jailer, but I think we can definitely trim down. Blessing, no. Beast, no. Adventurer, no. Just because they could quite easily steal the initiative, especially if they're on some sort of build with True Name. There is a world where I want one out to True Name, if that's Plague Engineer or maybe beating down with Questing Beast, but what I really want to achieve is just good mana. Grist is fine, but I think just one is okay. Especially if they have a bunch of flyers. Just trading kind of the... having a creature on board is also already pretty tough against Delver. It's not always going to be a case where we just have a Noble Hierarch or Ignoble Hierarch sitting around because they're so often going after our mana. I will expect Stifle in this matchup as well. So that's something to be considering. I don't mind a Plague. Especially in a Goyf build. But 3 lands, mana accelerant, removal. This is close. And I don't mind it, especially with double Sentinel. I'm pretty happy to keep this. A little bit risky. Again, this is a matchup that's really about mana. But Esper Sentinel can be really strong here. More so on the play, but still on the draw. It's not too bad. They chose to not shuffle. Green Suns, okay. Happy to start off with Caracas. It's pretty much wastelandable plains in this matchup. And this Verdant is also my access to Dryad Arbor. That's fine. This means we get to go land into Esper Sentinel. And now we get to go, most likely in this case, I'm happy to go for Bayou into Green Suns for Dryad Arbor, because even if they have a Daze, we get to draw a card off the Sentinel, which is really nice. This means next time we have Endurance lined up, we have Plague Engineer as well. I don't want to throw the Plague Engineer into a Daze either. If we untap with all our mana, I'm pretty happy just to do a Sorcery Speed Endurance to play around. They're attacking. Huh. I'm actually happy to take this because A, I want mana, B, I really want to be taxing them with Esper Sentinel, and C, we have 2 Endurance and a Plague Engineer to deal with DRC that 1 damage, God forbid, does not matter. Hey Min. Always nice to see you. Wasteland's fine. Do they bolt as well? No, another DRC, okay. Okay. 4 mana. So Green Suns first gets me mana. If I Thalia here, it locks me out of Green Suns for a mana dork. They didn't daze the Dryad Arbor play, so I'm actually pretty happy here to go for mana. Also just going for a Noble Hierarch, which allows me to attack with the Esper Sentinel. So they currently have instant sorcery land in the bin. Wasteland. Okay. Not too bad, as that does keep them off from being able to really play into this Esper Sentinel, and Thalia next turn looks fantastic. Okay, oh, okay, well now I need the Black Source. Start with Thalia. I should have attacked first, but it doesn't matter. We do still have endurance. Also, one thing we can actually do is, if it does flip, we can endurance after attacks. Goif's okay. So they do get in for 3 here. But a black source would be so good. They're tapped out as well, so they can't counter this. Close. Okay. Hey, Dan. A huge congratulations to Dan Neeley for taking down the Legacy Challenge with the deck Maverick. Very, very cool to see. A big thank you for the 12-month streak. That is insanely awesome. 9-month streak. Subscribe for 12. 9-month streak. Too good. Too good. Hope the family's well. Hope you're doing well. It was actually really nice today to update the Zenith with the first big finish of 2023 for the deck. Which is nice in... There you are. At the top. At the top. At the top. Alright, so we get to draw here. Fiend. Not great. But at least if they try to put these DRCs online... Oh, okay. Well, now we have a nice attack, or at least defense. I could nearly endurance myself. Scrolling time. Alright, so they attack with everything. Before blocks, we cast endurance pitching a Fiend Artisan. They have 2 cards left. They're going to fetch. This most likely means... This really only means that they have Force Blue card. Which is fine. Because here we still get to Endurance Fiend and then untap and Plague Engineer. I could also return the Thalia if I wanted to block the Goif. I think that might actually be the case. We have a lot of time, so we can think about this. Hey Soft, welcome. Alright, so we're at 13. We're definitely taking 3, so we're at 10. We can endurance them here, so we're taking 2, and then creature, artifact, land, we're taking 3. So we'll be taking 6, going down to 7. Yeah, especially seeing that the engineer next turn will just kill these DRCs, that I think it's fine to potentially just block the Goif and save some life. But it's definitely tough, because Thalia is just so good on the board. It is so good on the board right here. Is it? They already have 3 mana. Like, is the Esper Sentinel worth trading off here? 3. Yeah. Maybe it is a case of just Thalia in front. 3, 4, 5. Go to 8. And then they have a bit of a clock with the insect in the air. Which I guess when we're naming human, it'll still hit this. So it's actually just 2 in the air, which is quite nice. It's definitely nice knowing they have no cards in hand. Oh, Wasteland, okay. That's quite good. That takes them off the green mana. So we name human here. So Plague here takes care of the Goif to some extent. I think I am happy wastelanding them off the green, because another Goyf would be a little bit tough. And then we get to attack in here with the Esper Sentinel for 3, which puts them down to 10. So we also have our own clock going, which is really nice. But now this is actually interesting, because if we lose the play, we go to 6, and then if they just have like Bolt, then we do die to this. But I don't see a world where we're not blocking here. Ooh. Does that change things? We attack for 4. I mean, it comes down to this. Do we have a flyer? 2 mana. Oh my gosh. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can attack with Exalted, right? It has to be. Even Force doesn't work here, because then we have Thalia checked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has to be double days. It can only be double days. Or I guess Bolt Thalia with the triggers in the stack. Nice, very cool. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be back in a second. Quickly, now is a great time, if you guys would like, to follow me on YouTube. I'll see you soon. I'll also put up the details of this. Nice. Yes, we can safely go there, because if they had Bolt, we would have died. That's very true. Nice. Alright. We're looking okay. We're looking okay. Deck's been really nice. Like, I think the only issue in that game was mana, but to be fair, we also... I am running the winning list. I'm not sure if Dan's still here, but DNEELEY is in chat. And Dan actually took down, the Legacy Challenge with this exact list, which is really cool. I am just a messenger. Newton Elves. Green-white Inish. You're a Delver. up against Rod. Three lands. This hand is okay. Turn 2 Thalia can be fine, but a little bit slow. I think it's really hard for me to throw this. Although there are some pretty nice sixes with, you know, Swords to Plowshares or Mana Acceleration. There are a lot of 1-drops in the deck. 9 ways to accelerate. 3 Esper Sentinel, 4 Swords. What decks would you mull this against? Probably some sort of mirror. Any deck where they want to accelerate turn 1 and where Thalia isn't great. Like I think Elves is a great probably reason why this hand would... Yeah, probably Elves. This is a hand I'd mulligan. Combo, probably not too bad with the Thalias. I think there's a better 6. I think this deck really allows you to compete against the top decks because you have a turn 1 play. And this has to draw into... Like, if we draw into another land, I'm not really having it, so... I'm happy to mull once here. This isn't too bad. It's a little bit similar, but we do have Mana Acceleration, we have some interaction with Wasteland, we have a great way to win in Questing Beast, and we have a creature in Outland, so I think here I'm just going to drop the Plains. But tough. Hey Joe, very cool to see you. Oh, okay. This is most likely going to be Rug again, potentially holding up Stifle. So I think here it's going to be Savannah into Ignoble Hierarch. Which is quite nice. Again, we just have mana to accelerate into. I don't want to Wasteland or fetch into open blue mana against the Trop. I just feel like that's putting me in a really tough spot. But if we could untap, play a 2-drop, and also Wasteland them, I'd be pretty happy. You started 5-0 in the showcase yesterday, then had plans at my parents for dinner and fell off from there. What are you doing eating dinner, Dan? If you've got things to do, you shouldn't be eating dinner. Come on. Showcase, diet. No, but that's really cool. It seems like you found a very nice list to run around with. Okay. Brainstorm, Swords, Ponder. I'm not too scared of a threat because of Swords. So I could see Wastelanding Tundra here. The question is, do I want to Wasteland? Or do I want to keep building out my mana? I don't mind going after Tundra here. Especially with things like Prismatic Ending or Swords. Or maybe even Teferi would be a little bit rough. But obviously if this is like a BANT Loam deck, or like a BANT Control deck with Loam, that would be pretty brutal. Okay. This is most likely going to be BANT Natural Order. Ah, nice. They brainstormed in response to my turn 1 play, which makes me think they do have Daze in the deck. So I'm going to play my land first and then play Esper Sentinel. I just hope they don't float blue and then Daze back the Trop. Because then they obviously want to stifle the Verdant. Okay. Also, Snow-Covered Plains in this sort of build makes me think of Icewind Quaddle, but with this mana they currently can't cast it, which is great for us. Now they can. But if they want to cast like a Teferi here, then, oh, they lose, yeah. Which is nice. We actually get to draw before the Narset resolves. Ponder. Another Wasteland here would be fantastic to go after the Trop. I wouldn't mind a Exalted creature either, because of Esper Sentinel. Bayou's probably the card I really just didn't really care about, but... Definitely attacking the Narset, so that if they want to use its ability again, they lose the Narset. And then I think here, Just to turn on Questing Beast next turn, I want to play both Dryad Arbor and Fiend Artisan. I don't really have the luxury of playing around a sweeper effect. And to be fair, if they untap and do something like Supreme Verdict, then the Sentinel's already drawn a card off the Narset, which replaced itself, and then if it draws a card off the Supreme Verdict, it's also replaced the Fiend Artisan. So then, technically in cards, the Verdict is only traded with the Dryad Arbor, which is fine. But I'm always a little bit scary about these cards. Like, Days Undoing here would be brutal. There's not too much we can do anyway, but those sort of like 2-card combos can be pretty difficult to play against, especially in the blind. You're just never really sure if it's sticking. I would love to see Grook Relentless come back in Legacy. That was a card that I had a lot of fun with. Oh, Prismatic Ending, okay. Okay, not too bad. That to me means they don't have a sweeper because they're spending situational removal on an actual creature. Hey Eli, very cool to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying life up in Scotland. Swords. Okay, that's fair. Again, a exalted creature here would be pretty cool. Get that Narset off the board. Wasteland wouldn't be too bad. There we go. I will play the land. Play Noble. And they obviously used, well, I think they used the swords on the Dryad Arbor just to try to keep the Narset on the field, so this feels pretty nice for us. I'm also pretty happy just to play out the Outland Liberator here. And just keep the boards that are kind of gummed up with creatures. But feeling pretty good at this stage. The rare turn 5 Hierarch, yeah, exactly. They chose not to shuffle, but they do have a Flooded Strand, so potentially that is sort of the top card that they liked, and then they can shuffle away the other two anyway. Alright, Esper Sentinel. You did us proud, I can't say much else. Wasteland. So here we can take them off their only green mana. They already have one Trop in the bin, I believe. No, it was a Tundra. They could have Mystic Sanctuary. Maybe the Wasteland is actually to hold off Mystic Sanctuary. Because then if they fetched, they would only have 1-2 islands out. So I think that's actually the play. Allow them to have this for now. Because we don't, yeah, so we don't want them getting the Swords to Plowshares back, so we want to Wasteland this right now. Rest down. Okay. That's fine. Still get to attack for 2, I guess, because no Exalted. Feeling okay about our position. There's still... I think the dress down makes me think this isn't going to be a natural order version. And potentially the green is just for Uro. Maybe some sideboard cards. Prismatic Ending, of course. They chose to shuffle, which is good for us. Going after the Hierarch. Interesting. Happy to attack with both. Again, going after the Hierarch means, in my opinion, they don't have a sweeper, so I'm happy just to keep the board going. And putting lethal on board as well. And even if they have an Ice Fang Coatl and go up to 10, we have 11 on board. Teferi, again, doesn't really matter. Did they bounce the beast here? That's fine. What if we draw a land here? Oh, maybe they have Dress Down. What do I do here? To be fair, I could play Fiend Artisan and then go and get Cradle. A few options for sure. Hey Granham, a huge thank you for the raid. Yeah, I don't mind that. I could also just go after their Trop. That would be pretty interesting. Quest? Alright, we're going for it. We'll go for Quest. Nice. Force. Okay, they're going down to 0 cards. That's fine. We take out the Teferi and then pretty tough for them. Okay. We're looking at just like a rug. Sorry, a BANT control list. I don't mind Agent. I don't mind Grist. The Endurances don't seem bad either. The Ramming Up seems okay. The Plague can come out. I typically go down on Noble Hierarch and potentially a Cradle in this matchup, just because of how much removal they have and most likely sweepers as well. Getting game 1's quite nice as well, yeah. Especially with time on the board as well. Time on the clock, sorry. I kind of want to keep... like, if they're spending Swords to Plowshares and other removal on the Ignoble Hierarchs, I don't mean it doesn't... It's pretty good. It could just be 1 extra endurance, to be fair. I don't mind that. Sometimes cutting on mana can really cost you as well. Yeah, pretty happy with this. Turn on Dried Arbor, Interaction in Wasteland's pretty sweet. Alice Jailer down the line. Would love to see a Jewel here. Snow covered, okay. Lands and Spells keep, nice. That's my Island Ponder keep, is Lands and Spells keep. They chose to not shuffle. Alright, well, let's hope that our opponent has a non-basic hand. No removal, nice. Oh, another Green Suns. Green Suns for 2, could get me a Fiend Artisan. Honestly, here I'm happy just to play the Fiend and see if they fetch up a Jewel first. Or Brainstorm into a Jewel. I want to show this as late as possible. Well, they're going to force it. Pitching a day's undoing. Okay, that's quite nice to know about. The tough part is if I play a wasteland, then they obviously just go for basics. But if I don't, there's a world where they think, hey, if they're missing land drops, then no. I think that's just thinking too slow. Thinking too far into it. We also need to hit our mana. There's no doubt about that. Especially if they play a land and fetch for a basic and play to Fairy, bounce Dryad Arbor. Yeah. At least here we can play Dryad Arbor and then Green Suns for Noble Hierarch. Oh, Grist. We don't have the mana for it, but that does make me want to go and get Ignobled Hierarch instead. Play Dryad and pass. They can Prismatic Ending at instant speed. Okay, let us go for it now. That's fair. Do I want to run into Ice Fang? If they play Ice Fang, I assume so if they're playing Snow-Covered Islands. The second green isn't doing too much for us anyway. But I think that I'm in a position to attack for 1, put it to 1, pick up next turn to 2, then attack for 2 next turn. Green Suns off the top would be cool. We could then go and get Grist potentially. There's a few things here. They also missed a land drop, which is pretty huge. Ooh, and that's exactly why I probably didn't want to lose that other green source, but that is all good. They have 4 cards. Containment Priest, okay. Pretty happy just to swords that now. Interesting, they had a brainstorm, but they didn't do it in their turn to find an extra land drop. Uro is going to be okay. No land. Huh. Noble. It does give me access to Palace Jailer, potentially? Again, really interesting to see the Ponder, but not last turn where they could have made a land drop. And I think this deck really just wants to make land drops. Especially with Uro in the bin. Minsk. Yikes, okay. Well, now it has to be, if they tick up an attack, it has to be a fetch off the top to go for Questing Beast to attack in and kill the Minsk. Do we get there? No. Tough. Maybe it comes back to the Dryad Arbor play. But we do know that Minsk hits hard. Oh wow, they're actually going to draw cards here. Okay. Yes, that's something? We can make Dryad Arbor or a Wasteland? That's hilarious. Tough. I don't think anything changes here. Potentially the Endurance. Obviously just a good body against Planeswalkers and also with Uro in the deck. Hey Jib, welcome. Hope you're well. Cursed board state, yeah. I could see a Wasteland coming out and just going to 22 lands. I don't mind that. Okay. We have turn 1 Esper Sentinel, which could most likely draw a card. And then we have Green Suns for Dryad Arbor down the line. I don't mind this. Savannah. Esper. Go. This also really punishes a cantrip start, but I would assume with 4 swords, 4 prismatic endings, this is just going to be a 2-for-1 with the Esper Sentinel. Oh. Okay. I could go Green Suns for Dryad Arbor, Cradle, Green Suns for... I don't mind that. Or maybe not. Yeah, maybe I want a Green Suns for a Grist. I don't mind this. I don't mind Cradle into Outland Liberator. And then attack with Esper Sentinel. That's fine. Jailer. Okay. 2, 3, 4. Horse, sure. Better Blossom, nice. I really hope this is just Uro. Okay. Another Trop, Ponder. Not too bad. Especially if they're going all in on this Uro, then we have the endurance for it. Krakus? Green Suns. Okay. I think we're just going to start off with endurance. Thankfully, if our opponent decides to try to Containment Priest in response to Green Suns, we can go and get Grist, which is a creature in all areas other than on the field. So, sorry. Yeah, so when it comes into play, it's actually seen as a Planeswalker. Pretty happy to attack with just endurance here. And then Green Suns for Grist. Please Containment Priest me. Haha. Go and get Grist. And pretty happy just to throw away something for the Containment Priest here. Maybe not. Maybe I want to tick up. I think ticking up is fine here. Okay. Okay, drawing a card. Maybe trying to find a Teferi to bounce the Outland Liberator. One card left. Days Undoing. I think I'm just okay with this. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their decks. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Terrible. I guess we can. Green Suns for Questing Beast here. That's pretty sweet. Just having a quick think. Oh, count with Containment. Very thank you. Yes, thank you very much. So I'd have to get rid of both Containment Priests, if possible. Close call, yeah. I honestly think he would just attack with Outland Liberator and Endurance. Chat saves. Yeah, thank you, chat. Thank you very much. Chat 20. Dukes on Twitch. 3. A great 3, though. I probably... Oh, they're so close to just, like, Narset into Days Undoing again, so I probably want to try to just put as much on the board as I can. I'm having a really big think here. Just thinking how I want to do this with also holding up. Let's take up Grist. Swords, it's fine. Cradle can tap for a lot. So I think it's fine to go Wasteland on Tundra. See if they want to do anything. Okay. Float. I don't care about Wrath too much because it deals with the Containment Priests. I care about Days Undoing a little bit, and also just trying to go wide on this board. So I think this is fine. Pass with holding up Endurance. I just need to make sure that I float in response to some sort of Supreme Verdict, but that is obviously double white as well, which is why hitting the Tundra is nice. Which, even if they fetch for the white source, they obviously have to... go down to 3, which the Endurance is lethal then. EE for 3. That is going to be fine. Sure, we'll just... Do we have to float mana? We don't. We lose these two. Double checking. Yeah. Now they're in a really tough spot. Because these insects might just be able to get there by going wide. We sadly don't have QB because of the Containment Priests, but I do love the thought of QB Jide. Oh, get Grist again? Oh, that's very true, yeah. Ooh, maybe that was the play. Fiend. Well, okay, so if we attack with everything, we're in a pretty good spot. We also have a second Grist. Oh my gosh, there we go. Boom. Alright. Nice. Definitely getting the value here. BANT Control. Alright. Let's try to finish this off on a high. That'd be very cool. Give Dan the respect that he deserves. In before Tony Scapponi with a steel chair. Love it. Thanks, Dan. Too kind. I'll definitely have to have you on the stream some point. Very happy to work around your schedule as well, with work and family and stuff. But it's got to happen. It's got to happen. It should have already happened. Let's be honest. Deck's been nice, Dan. Deck's been really nice. It's really tough, because I would say no. Typically, at the start of a metagame, it's quite hard for a toolbox deck to assess what it needs as both Green Sun's targets and Knight of the Reliquary targets. But look, Dan's just come out here and gone, you know what? I know this deck. And he's just dominated. Yeah, I think, I don't want to I'll touch wood, but I hope that the format's in a pretty nice position right now. I mean, we've played some pretty cool decks. We've played against Newton Elves, Green-White Initiative, Blue-Red Delver, BANT Control. Exactly, Eddie. Exactly. But yeah, deck's been awesome. And obviously I love Abzan. I think that Harry and Mark have been doing great work on punishing as well, which is cool. Huxa. A Cloudpost player. Okay. This is a pretty good hand against Cloudpost. We can't be too unhappy with this. I think an Accelerant would be really nice, but can't be too unhappy. Taiga. Okay, I'm going to assume this name's Wasteland. Taiga. Interesting. Maybe Cloudpost is playing... Oh my gosh, of course. I think here we just want to... I could save the Windswept Heath for black mana, but I could go Dryad Arbor into... Honestly, I think it's just going to be this. Oh, they're playing lands now? Yeah, maybe the Needle is just a Saga target. Cloudpost. Okay. I don't want to draw into Dryad Arbor, so I'm happy just to get it out of the deck now. There's also not that many great black cards in the main deck, so I'm happy just to get that going. Yeah, I wonder if the red is for like blast effects in the board potentially. We do not play Prismatic Ending, no. In the main deck, I believe we have Outland Liberator, and then in the sideboard we have Knight of Autumn and 2 Force of Vigor. Okay. That's pretty interesting. I think this turn it's going to be... Yeah, next turn prime time, which we can't do too much against. So we do have like... No. Endurance. 2, 3, yeah. I think it's Knight off Cradle and then go for Green Suns. It could also be Wasteland. Yeah, Outland Liberator. I don't really want to show it just yet. But I think it is just playing Wasteland. And then getting Knight on board. I think Knight just gives me a few more outs. Suva, copies Post. 3/6/7 is a Green Suns. Ooh. 3-in-1? Fire Spout? Wow. And I can't get rid of that Dryad Arbor here, so I think we just lose this. Tough. Well, I guess I'm happy not to put the Outland Liberator out there. Plague. I guess now's our time. I think now it's just play double Wasteland and go for Liberator. Yeah, the Needle lining up so well here because it means that the Wastelands early couldn't make the Knight bigger than a 3/3. Really cool tech. I've seen this in Modern Tron ages ago, but pretty cool in this list, obviously. Hope no Ulamog. Hope a lot of things at this moment. They have access to 3, 6, 9, 10 mana. Tech. But that's a huge blowout. I'm actually very happy we didn't play Cradle last turn, because obviously that would have been pretty brutal. Oof. Oh, really? Huh. Alright, so we play Ignoble Hierarch. This plays around Endurance. Take out the Needle. And now we have questions. Do we want to play Karakas and hold up Sword, or do we want to play Cradle and hold up Endurance? I assume they have Crop, so I think we'll go for Wasteland in their turn. They have 3 cards in hand. I'm pretty happy just to play the Karakas. I'm pretty happy to use Wasteland and Upkeep. That way, if they have crop rotation, they have to tap their green source in their turn. So Vesufa, Stage. So Stage can't copy a basic at the moment, but they could crop away something for a basic and then copy it. So I'm happy just to hit Cloudpost number 1. I could also hit Taiga, see how it goes, and then go for Wasteland on the other post. But then they still have 2/4. Yeah, they still have a lot of mana, so. Go to draw step and then hit this one. Actually, this, yeah, Vesufa. Crop, sure. Post, okay. Not too bad. We also have those Wastelands to put back into our deck if need be. But I mean, like, look at this. Like, they've already, like, really come back from 2 Wastelands already. Green Suns. Oof. Okay, is now the time to go for something like Questing Beast and attack for 8. Play Cradle. 3. Maybe Ramanap, actually? I think it's actually Ramanap to try to, like, close out this game. No, but we just played the Cradle, didn't we? I could get Excavator. The difference is that they still take a turn to get a wasteland. And at least the Knight is a bigger threat. I guess Knight also plays around them having main deck Endurance and hitting the wastelands in play in the bin. Yeah, punish last turn for the Caracas over the Cradle. So they had a crop. They didn't really have much last turn to play around with. They have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. Two spells to keep this, yeah. Sorry, team, just a bit of thinking. Questing Beast. So we attack for 3, 7, put them to 11. And then another turn, and then another turn. I think we actually go for Knight, so I'm pretty happy to attack first. Two, 3, 4. Oh! We take those. Okay. I'm going to assume they had nothing in hand. Okay. Really happy with that, let's be honest. What do we want? We want the 2 Force Vigors. They're obviously fantastic. Knight of Autumn. We can take out the Plague Engineer. A little bit too slow. Beast isn't too bad, but probably up there. Thalia's a little bit meh. But they can come up. Not typically. I think the paths are fine. Especially if we're trying to get there with combat damage. Being able to hit like a prime time with just path is okay. I don't know about surgical and that sort of line. It can definitely like do a whole lot. Opposition agent is fantastic. That's very true. Beats Glacial Chasm, that's very true. Like Jailer, can find it, but Undermountain, I guess that's like a way to win, even if they like get the board, but Sentinels aren't fantastic either, but they are ways to use early this. Yeah, I could definitely see Endurance going down. Maybe just the one path. And look, I'm not a big fan of Surgical, but yeah, I think it's just good enough. I'm going to take out the initiative. Especially if my opponent's going to not take a draw there and see what's happening. Pretty happy to just go with that. What is this hand? So we have Wasteland. They obviously have 4 Needle, 4 Crop. We have 2 lands for Fiend Artisan. Not a big fan of this hand. I really want to have some acceleration, potentially some sort of artifact or enchantment hate, and then a real threat. So, although it does just have like a little bit of a plan, pretty happy to mulligan this. A lot better. We have a turn 2 Knight, which is great. We don't really need the Cradle, but we don't actually have a land currently to sack to the Knight, because it's only forests or plains. I think I'm pretty happy to keep this and bottom the Cradle. Although, I could... yeah, because I want the black source for opposition agent. Okay. Hey Disco, a huge thank you. Oh my gosh. Too easy. What did they keep? What did they keep? I feel like this player was tilted, unfortunately. I feel like they were tilted and it just wasn't their night. And I hope that for future games, we get to play some cool games. But hey, we got the trophy, so that's pretty sweet. That is pretty sweet. Very, very cool. This is all Dan. This is all Dan. All I did was play it, and Dan was the one who put me in strides. So a huge thank you to Dan for giving me the list, because this was sweet. Really, really happy with that. Very, very cool. Let's call that a 4.5. Let's be honest. All right, where would I change things? There's a lot that I would change in this list, unfortunately. No, I'm kidding, of course. The list was sweet. I really, really enjoyed it. If anything, I'll just run it back again. Honestly, I was really impressed. We pretty much used most of our sideboard cards. We didn't run into too much combo, so we didn't bring in sort of these, but all of these had a role in most matchups, which is really cool. Hey, thanks, Dan. Too kind. Too kind. But yeah, this was awesome. I'm taking that for sure. Yeah. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Actually, I do. Join the Maverick Discord. If you're a fan of this sort of deck, then you want to get into the Discord. That's all you got to say. Hey, Spyman, a huge thank you. That's going to be me. I mean, what can I say? This deck was sweet. Esper Sentinel was fantastic. Fiend Artisan was great. A lot of the times, these one-off creatures like Opposition Agent, Plague Engineer, and Palace Jailer just really turn the tides when we needed them to turn the tides. I love the 23rd land as well, potentially just being one of these draw lands, because you can just cycle it later on, which is very cool. But otherwise, yeah, this was sweet. Really, really cool to play the deck and do well with it. And I think that's more a reflection of the deck than the pilot. But yeah, really cool to see how it went. When will I be back? I'll be back on Thursday night with a pretty sweet take on Witherbloom Maverick. So stick around for that. And then potentially this weekend as well, I'll be on, which would be pretty cool. But always nice to get a trophy, and always nice for it to be with Maverick, and even better for it to be a list built by Dan. Alright, I'm going to see who else is streaming. A huge thank you to you guys for coming in and watching. If you guys aren't following me already, but you like this content, definitely consider subscribing. Or following, sorry. And I'm going to send you guys over to see Nassif, who I believe is maybe playing some Pioneer. But what are we doing? We are raiding. That's not it. I think it's just raid. We'll get there.